libraries, parks, it pays the wages of public servants. So business and government could not survive without the revenue produced by a salesperson. Just want to share a bit about my journey so that you know where I'm coming from and that you can get a better idea where I'm coming from. I left school at 16. I went and got myself a job as a sheet metal apprentice. Back in those days, it was leave school, get a job either with the government or a trade behind you. Then you find a nice lady, get married, buy a house, have children, retire at 65 after working for the same company all your working life. When you retire, they give you a gold watch and thanks for all your years of service. Then you go and enjoy retirement, live off the pension, then die and leave the house to your children. I really didn't enjoy my apprenticeship. I just didn't have the aptitude for it. In other words, I was terrible at it. But I hung in there for 4 long years and completed it. Whilst there, I noticed men in suits who were coming and going out of the office. I asked my supervisor, Mick, who are these men and what do they do? He told me they were sales representatives and their job was to sell the product that we were making. The way Mick made it sound was that they just drove around all day talking to people. And he also mentioned that the company supplied them with a company car as a part of the employment package, and they were allowed to use the car at the weekend. So I thought being a sales rep was just driving around all day talking to people, and that sounded pretty cool to me. Besides, the company's car sounded appealing, because at the time I was driving a beat-up old 1959 Holden with half the floor rusted out on the driver's side. If I lifted up the mat, I could see the road. I always told people it would be handy if the brakes ever failed. I could just lift up the mat and put my feet through the hole in the floor and use them as brakes. So when I finished my apprenticeship, I was out of there. One thing I really did enjoy though was welding. So I managed to get myself a job, straight commission selling welding consumables. I had a $125 per week car allowance. Before starting the job, I bought myself a new car. Well, it was actually a second-hand one, but it was new to me. I also purchased a suit from the Opportunity Shop. So there I was on my first day in the office in my Opportunity Shop suit. The sales manager gave me half a day training on products. Then he gave me the sales kit, showed me the door and told me to go out there and sell. Boy, was I in for a massive shock. I found out that selling was more than just driving around and talking to people. At the start, I made calls with very little success. What I would do, I'd go to an industrial area and I'd start up one end of the street and work myself way down the street, going from factory to factory. I got rejection after rejection. When I did find someone who was interested in the product, I would do what I now call my enthusiastic down dump presentation. Actually, it was more like verbal diarrhea. I wouldn't let the client get a word in. And then I would say, well, what do you think? And the prospect would say, well, I'd like to think it over. Or I'll have a talk to my partner and we'll give you a decision. So I'd leave that building, go to the next one, knock on doors. See, I thought to be successful in sales, you had to have the gift of the gab. A lot of my friends told me I'd make a good salesperson because I spoke so much. But one of the things is, you see, I was never taught to sell, and I didn't know what a close was. I thought that you did a lot of talking. They would go, that is awesome. Where have you been all my life? I've been waiting for a product like that to come along. But as I said, my sales were lousy, so I'd actually dread a Friday afternoon in the office. I'd go into the office with hardly any sales, and there'd be all these guys and salespeople in their suit, looking confident, brimming with confidence because I was smashing their sales targets. With me, I used to go and hide in the corner or hide in the toilet until the sales meeting started, and then I'd sit at the table. And I reckon they were all looking at me going, loser. I felt so inferior to the other salespeople in the room. As soon as the sales meeting was over, I was out of there like a flash. I was shattered. I had my confidence shattered, or what confidence I had. Then one night I thought, no, I'm going to give this away. I couldn't face another sales meeting. But then I got to thinking, why? Why are those other salespeople more successful than me? So I plucked up the courage to go up to our top sales producer, Frank, went up to him and said, Frank, what are you doing differently to me? Fortunately, he took me under his wing and started teaching me how to sell. First of all, he said, show me your presentation. And like I said, my presentation was verbal diarrhea. So he gave me one of his presentations and said, here, learn that. And he also gave me a list of questions to ask, because like I said, I thought selling was just telling. Anyway, so I took the material that Frank gave me and I learnt it and I started putting it into use and my sales went up. And then he introduced me to sales books and sales cassettes. That's how far I go back. It was cassettes at the time. I would listen to them driving to and from calls, to and from home. One of the things these days is I find that we spend a lot of time in our car as sales reps. And one thing I find is that the people listen to radio. They listen to the songs, or they might hear the news. It might be bad news. Whereas a true professional always has CDs these days or MP3, and they're always listening to material on how to be a better salesperson. Anyway, one of the things Frank also did with me too, which was great, he took me out on calls with him so I could actually see how how he did it. And once again, using him as a mentor, I duplicated what he was doing and the sales increased. I went from one of the bottom producers in the company to one of the top. And all I really did was just do what Frank did and listen to what he said. And it was great. I'd be able to go in there on a Friday afternoon then feeling proud and mingle with the top salespeople instead of feeling inferior and going to hide in the toilet or in the dark corner of the office. I left that, after a couple of years, I left there and had a few different jobs, and I found myself in the laser printing industry, which I was doing quite well at. Then I got headhunted by a company selling computer systems. I worked for that company for a while. We were selling computer systems up to $2 million, and I was earning just on $250,000 a year in commission and retainer. Then I went and worked for a couple of promotional product companies before starting my own in late 2002. So, how do you become a superstar in selling? You talk to and learn from top performing salespeople. Use travelling time to improve your sales skills by listening to CDs or MP3s. I said copy successful salespeople, or you can hire a sales coach. Business owners, if you are listening, can you afford to have an underperforming or average salesperson or salespeople on your sales team? Are underperforming salespeople or average salespeople costing your company money? Having said that, we do have a popular 30-day program called Turnaround and Terminate an Underperformer. That's where we go in and work with an underperforming salesperson and try to get them up to speed. They get them to turn their performance around. They're fully aware of what's going to happen within 30 days if we can't turn their performance around. If we see some improvements, then we stay with them. It could be that I coach them a few more times, or the sales manager or business owner starts coaching them, or if there's no hope for them, then you're fired. Salespeople listening. If the company turned around tomorrow and said, right, everyone is on straight commission, would you survive or would you sink and swim? If it is sink and swim, then I'd advise you to start skilling up. Not that your company's going to do that, but it's always good to have those skills. Salespeople, are you really committed to your profession, or are you merely participating? Are you really focused on making things happen, or do you just let things happen? In other words, are you an order taker or a sales maker? One thing we find with top performing salespeople is that they all have MBAs. I don't mean Master of Business Administration, I mean massive bank accounts. Top salespeople are earning more than the Prime Minister. They're earning more than the top surgeon. One of the beauties of sales is that you can get into it with little or no skill and earn an exceptional income. One thing to remember also is that all our salespeople in the elite class started at the bottom as novice salespeople. It was through commitment, determination and persistence and a strong belief in themselves that they made it to the top of their field. Oops, did it again. And also something to remember too is selling is a skill, and all skills are learnable. Great salespeople are made, not born. I really can't remember or know of a baby when it was born that the doctor, when it was delivered, that the doctor turned and said to the parents, "Congratulations, you've just had a salesperson." Now let's look at some of the benefits. I mean, it's good. I mean, it's not easy committing to becoming a top person. There's a lot of work you got to do. But one of the benefits is that the money never stops. One of the main limits to a salesperson's earning power is a self-imposed one. Results are the only thing that count. Companies are perfectly willing to pay a salesperson $100,000 a year if they deliver the goods. They are willing to pay $250,000 a year if that person delivers. And a person's earnings from $10,000 a month up to almost anything is in their own hands. They are responsible. That's right, it is in the person's own hands. Once the commitment is made to joining the top ranks of the elite salespeople, money never stops. I'm not bragging here, but I tell you, it's a great feeling to be taking home $15,000 a month. If you go and work for a company at $60,000 per year, then you are selling them your services for $32 an hour. Become one of the best, and the money will keep flowing. The other thing is the higher standard of living. When you're a top performer, you have a lifestyle second to none. Sometimes it's not about the money you earn, it's about what you can do with that, with the lifestyle you can live. Everyone wants something different. For one, it may be a luxury car. For another, a nice house. For another, it could be financial freedom. Just on that note, I've been rich and I've been poor, and I can tell you rich is better. There is nothing worse than trying to work out where your next meal is coming from or how you are going to pay the electricity bill. Like, for instance, my wife loves, I myself love cruising, so our lifestyle allows us to go on a cruise whenever we feel like it. I keep pressing the wrong button here. The other one is job security. It's guaranteed. When you become a top achiever in sales, you have job security. When the ship is in a bad storm and it looks like it may sink, everything that is not of value is thrown overboard. It is the same with the business. When a business is in trouble, they get rid of all the deadwood. Now, if you're a top performer, do you think they're going to get rid of you? I don't think so. Also, the other buzz is being headhunted. Once your reputation spreads within the industry, you have companies knocking at your door trying to secure your services. I had this happen a couple of times to me, and it is a real buzz to be able to name your own pricing conditions. I remember once in the laser printing industry, I was approached by a company to come and work for them. During the meeting, I mentioned that part of my package had to be a company car. Roger, who was interviewing, told me that the company does not provide company cars. They provide car allowances. The only person who got a company car was the managing director. Upon hearing this, I stood up, shook his hand, thanked him for his time, and left. Next morning, I got a phone call. It was Roger. They had agreed to provide me a company car, and I could come down and pick out which one I want. So let's just summarise reasons to commit becoming a top performing salesperson. 1, the money never stops. 2, you have one of the highest standards of living in the world, and your job security is guaranteed. Okay, now we're going to look at some of the characteristics of top performing salespeople. I would love you all to take note of that and start applying. First thing is, they come out of their comfort zone. Out there is where the magic happens. Too many people are stuck. 90% of the population is stuck in their comfort zone. They just live a mediocre life. They're just surviving, getting by. They have fear, depression, settling for less. Whereas if you go out of your comfort zone, this is where all the fearlessness, the confidence, dreams are achieved. Once I said lifestyle, security, financial freedom, the sky is the limit. As Brian Tracy says, move out of your comfort zone. You can only grow if you are willing to feel awkward and uncomfortable when you try something new. The thing is, when you move out of your comfort zone and you're out there long enough, you form another comfort zone. And what you're scared of at the start or uncertain of at the start becomes your new comfort zone. All your dreams await you just on the other side of your fears. Now, top performing salespeople practice until their techniques become a conditioned response. The elite practice and practice them more till their sales techniques become a conditioned response. It's a bit like a cat. When you stand on a cat's tail, the cat does not think, okay, somebody has just stepped on my tail. I now feel pain. So now I go meow. No, as soon as you stand on its tail, it goes meow. I'd love to share a story that happened to me recently. I sometimes work out of my office at home. It is at the front of the house, so I can see anyone coming up the driveway. One day a young man came walking up our drive with the clipboard in hand. I answered the door. The young man said, "I'm here to check your electricity rates to make sure that you are getting the best deal." Now, I don't know about you, but I know nothing about kilowatts or whatever to do with electricity. As long as I turn the light switch on and the light comes on, that is all I'm concerned about. Anyway, as we were talking, I gave this kid an objection. Can't remember exactly what it was, but do you know what he did? He looked up at the sky, rubbed his chin, and said, "I don't have an answer for that." There and then I terminated our conversation and went back to work. But I could not stop thinking about the young lad and the response to my objection. So I quickly typed up a response to the objection, chased him up the road, stopped him, gave him a piece of paper and said, "Learn this. And next time you get the objection like I just gave you, this is what you say to overcome it." He looked at me kind of bewildered, nodded his head and said, "Okay." Hopefully he memorized it. It went like this: "I understand exactly how you feel. Many of our happiest clients felt the same way when we first approached them. But this is what they found. By using our services, they would be better off. Can I just have 10 minutes of your time to show you what we have to offer, and then you can be the judge for yourself." Characteristics of top performing salespeople: they see themselves as self-employed. This is one of the characteristics of the top performer that is so important. They take responsibility for themselves. The top achievers see themselves as self-employed, and they are selling their services to the company that they work for. Their attitude is, the buck stops here. No excuses. Top performing salespeople say, "I am responsible." They live by the old saying, "If it is to be, it's up to me." Being self-responsible is a critical attitude of selling. The top achievers keep striving to become better. They are continually upgrading their skills by listening to new CDs, going to sales seminars, and reading books like I did in my early part of my career. In the past, when I've been interviewing a salesperson for a job, one of the things I ask is to give me the names of some of their books in their self-development library. If they look at me and go, huh? Or they told me they do not have any books on self-development or selling, I would say thank you for coming in and show them the door, because I know if they are not continually growing, they are not serious about becoming tops in their profession. Answer this one for me. If you went to a doctor and you found out that the doctor and they haven't read a book in 5 years in regards to advancement in medicine, how would you feel? How confident would you feel in their ability to diagnose and cure you? Or a lawyer who hadn't read a book on law in 5 years, who hadn't kept up on the latest development in laws, who said, oh well, we'll just go to court and wing it. Would you feel confident using their services? You know what I find fascinating when I hear average performing salespeople say, I'm not going to do a sales course unless my company pays for it. Or, I'm not going to purchase any sales books or CDs. I will listen or read them only if the company provides them. In my opinion, these people are at the bottom of the pack of average salespeople. Actually, once again, in my opinion, they are a disgrace to a fantastic profession. I love the profession of selling, that's why I've been in it for so long, and I try to convey that passion to other salespeople who are just starting. Just before I go on to the next quality, one of the other things that I used to do when interviewing, I had a salesperson who told me that they could sell ice to the Eskimos. I would go, wow, you are good. I tell you what, if you are that good, I'll give you a low retainer, enough to cover your bills and living expenses, and I'll set up a more than generous commission structure so that you can earn a very high income. 9 out of 10 the first times the person would say, I was interviewing and respond by saying, oh no, I need a big retainer. Well, once again, in my opinion, was that they were nowhere near as good as they said they were. A true professional would have jumped at the opportunity because they believe in themselves and their ability to achieve. They love the profession of selling and are proud to be called salespeople. They love the profession of selling. They are passionate about it. They love getting people happily involved in their products or service because they know that their products and services will help the individual. Now, one other thing we know is that top people practice style flexibility. And this is the key, one of the keys to becoming great in the industry. Whoops. Oh, one other thing about sales, sorry. If you are not passionate about sales, get out. As Richard Branson says, don't waste your time doing things that don't excite you. Find your passion and go out there and grab it with both hands. Oop, oh, here we go. Sorry about this, fans, people. Style flexibility. There are 4 basic personality types. The first is amicable, analytical, expressive, and driver. Over the years, they've been used terms of birds like the dove, the owl, the expressive, and the eagle. So let's look at, I don't know what's happening to me today. Whoops, I am pressing the wrong button. Bear with me. All right, we're back again. The dove. The dove is easygoing, friendly, people pleaser, team player, loyal, hardworking, avoids conflict. They're not a risk taker. They think with their emotions. The peacock adores attention, loves to be noticed, gregarious and talkative, life of the party, cocky and irresponsible, and bad time management. The eagle is bold and dominant, analytical and decisive, stubborn and insensitive, self-centered, Narrow-minded can be devoid of emotions. And the last one's the owl. Logical, perfectionist, great problem solver, good at mathematics, methodical in everyday tasks, doesn't break the rules, inflexible, slow to react as a thinker. Now look, the analytical, they want to be right. They distance formal, logical, conservative, information gathering to the point of indecisiveness. The driver or the ego wants to be in control. They're impersonal, results orientated, demanding factual. They're impatient, focus on efficiency, get to the point, can feel threatening to others. Expressive, wants to be recognised, stimulating, unstructured, outgoing, enthusiastic, impulsive, needs a lot going on to keep their attention. And the amicable wants to be sure, low risk, supportive, agreeable, careful, needs to build trust, may seem easy influence, but they don't want to create discord. Now, we all know this guy on the screen. Anybody guess what sort of personality trait he is? Yep, he's an eagle big time. Now, one of the problems that you have, once you start identifying the different style types, which actually there's over 100, but there's 4 basic ones. Once you start analysing the different styles, what they are of people, the 4 basic personality types, the next thing is, one of the hardest things is that when you're in a meeting presenting to a group, because in that group you may have owls, you may have pigeon doves, you may have peacocks, and you may have eagles. So basically when you're presenting, you've got to be able to work out what personality style each person is, and when you present to them, you've either got to go into dove mode or eagle mode, or whichever you perceive them to be. Here's one that I love. It's been around for years. It's, if you can see John Brown through John Brown's eyes, you can sell John Brown what John Brown buys. In other words, find out what personality style they are and sell to them like that. Now, if you're an eagle and you're trying to sell to a dove, do you think you're going to have any chance? Or if you're a peacock, do you think that you want to be able to sell to a eagle? The eagle says, just give me the facts, give me the facts. Whereas the peacock is too busy being gregarious, outgoing, telling what I did for the weekend, etc., etc. It's quite interesting though. A lot of people say that peacocks make the best salespeople because of their outgoing personality and everything. Actually, it's wrong. The owl and the dove make the best because they're low-keyed and not over the top. Next one, they are self-disciplined. And they, sorry, I'm just going to go back one because I forgot. They are self-disciplined. When I mention self-discipline, what's the first thing that you think of? Unfortunately, for most people, self-discipline conjures up images of strictness, long stretches of boring or irritating work of self-sacrifice and self-denial. Well, nothing could be further from the truth to a top salespeople. Whether you're a salesperson or a business owner, you require the self-discipline to focus and concentrate on generating sales every hour of every day. If you're a business owner or sales manager, you must discipline yourself on focusing to get your sales staff to generate the sales which your company depends on. You must spend 75% of your working time with your salespeople to ensure that the sales that are essential for survival and growth of your company. If you're a salesperson, you must spend time doing what is necessary to generate the sales. They work long hours. Salespeople can work between 50, 60 hours a week, whereas the average salesperson probably works about 40. One thing I used to do when I was out on the road repping, I always used to make it a habit, if I was in the office before I went, just to make one more sales call or a prospecting call. Or if I was out on the road, I'd either drop into a new potential prospect, or I would visit an existing client. Now, next one is time management. Well, that basically, they value their time and use it effectively. There are 86,400 seconds in a day. It's up to you to decide what you do with them. And one of the questions, whether it's self-discipline or time management, you've always got to keep asking yourself, is what I am doing right now leading to a sale? If it's not, stop doing what you're doing and refocus and concentrate on doing that thing that'll help you lead to a sale. Are you wasting your day? One thing that the top producers do, they diarise everything that they do for the day, and then they look at where they could have picked up few minutes to do more prospecting or whatever to generate a sale. Well, there we go. These are another characteristic of the elite salespeople. They are avid goal setters. They set goals in sales targets. They also set them in all areas of their life. A salesperson without a goal is like a ship without a rudder. Just keep going around and around in circles. One of the things that are vital in goal setting is not just to focus on the job, is to focus on different areas of your life. You've got families and friends, you've got career, relationship and romance, fun and recreation, health and wellness, spirituality and financial. When I was working in the computer industry, our software used to run on Unisys hardware. So when we went in for a tender, we'd do a joint tender and present a joint tender. One day I went up to see Brett at the Unisys building in St Kilda Road, and I started talking to him, and he told me that he had just split from his wife, and I said, wow, that's no good. Then he pointed out 7 other people on his floor whose marriages had split up because of their career. They were too focused on their career to focus on other areas of your life. And one of the things I find that when you are making a lot of money in sales and you are driving that flash car, if that's your goal, there's not much point if you don't have the person that you love next to you. Goal setting. Set a goal that makes you want to jump out of bed in the morning. Unfortunately, most of the workforce there, if you ask them why they go to work, they turn around and say to pay the flaming bills. Can you imagine that? Dragging yourself out of work, going into a job you hate, just so you can pay the flaming bills. Top salespeople set goals that makes them want to jump out of bed in the morning and go, punch the sky and go, Yahoo, I am off to achieve my goals. Goals, smart goals. In goal setting, they need to be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-based. If you don't put a time on when you're going to achieve that goal, then it is just merely a dream, in my opinion. They have to be realistic. They say that there's no unrealistic goals, only unrealistic timeframes. It's not like you can turn around and today leave this webinar and go, right, I'm going to earn $1 million by the end of the year. It's just not on. Or if you do, please let me know so I can copy it. First thing you've got to ask yourself is, what is the total income I wish to earn to fund my desired lifestyle? Once again, we go back to the slide of lifestyle. Sit down, work out what you really want out of life and how much you're going to need to fund it. Here I have on the screen just a personal goal definition worksheet that just to give you an idea of what you how you should set it out. At the top you'll notice I'm committed to and will work towards achieving my personal goals as listed below. That is one of the, I know it may sound corny, but that is one of the things that I get people to do, is to write a contract with themselves stating what they're going to do, when they're going to do it by, and then have them sign it. That way they feel a bit more committed. But here's a beautifully, the way that it's spread out is you've got your lifestyle and leisure time goals, you've got your career and educational goals, health and fitness goals, spirituality, community involvement goals, and financial goals. Then you can see down the bottom the annual income goal. And then at the bottom you see it's signed to make that commitment. All these all the areas is very important. Once again, when I said, if you're earning big money and you haven't got the one that you love with you, then yeah, what's the point? What's the point of driving around a nice BMW without the one you love next to you? There's a big difference between love and a BMW. BMW at the end of the day is just a piece of metal. Also, health and fitness. There's not much point having all the money in the world yet being unfit, unhealthy. So if you want a copy of that sheet at all, please let me know and I will be glad to send it to you. Okay, so let's move on, and I've got to get this down to a fine art of changing slides. Harvard University a few years ago did a study and found that 3 determining success factors in sales. First one is product and industry knowledge. Next one's good selling skills. And number 3 was attitude. When it was broken down, product and industry knowledge was important, but that alone was not enough. That only represented 10%. Good selling skills is number 2, and once again, that only consisted of 10%. The third factor was attitude. When they delved into the facts and figures, they found that the most successful salespeople and business owners determined their success. Attitude was a whopping 80%. Over the years, I've known salespeople who lack product knowledge, experience, and sales skills, but they had a fantastic positive attitude which was driving them to succeed. And over time, they pick up the necessary sales skills and the product knowledge. Does anyone know how many thoughts that we have a day? Well, research by the National Science Foundation found that the average person has between 12 to 15,000 thoughts a day. Some have even up to 70,000 thoughts. And the sad part about that is around 80% of these are negative, self-defeating. Done it again. The most important words, please, and read this and take it in. The most important words you say all day are the words you say to yourself, about yourself, when you are by yourself. Unfortunately, we have too much negative self-talk. We go, I'm no good at sales, this sucks, this job sucks, I should quit this job and go into garbage collecting, I hate sales. What's the point on calling on this prospect? They probably won't buy anyway. I mean, wouldn't it be awesome if we could go home at night and just download the thoughts for the day into a computer and then read them? I'm sure you'd be shocked. And I'm sure you'll find that some of the thoughts you have a day, you wouldn't say it to your kids or you wouldn't say it to your best friends. So, stop saying it to yourself. This is how I overcame negative thinking. A money box. What I used to do at the start was that for every negative thought I had, I'd put $1 in the money box. Sorry, if anyone from Logo Lines out there listening, I just borrowed one of your images. And at the end of every month, at the start, because it was getting filled pretty quickly, I would go and give it to a chosen charity. After a while, I was going broke, and the negative thoughts slowed down. So every couple of weeks, I'd empty it and once again take it to the charity of my choice. The other method that a lot of people use is an elastic band around their wrist. When they find that they're having a negative thought, they'll give the elastic band a flick and feel the pain, and then after a while they associate the negative thought with pain. We're going to look at prospecting. Sticks and stones can break my bones, but no's will never hurt me. That's it. I do not know of a salesperson that has ever been killed prospecting. I don't. If you do, let me know again. Be interested. But prospecting, what is stopping people prospecting? It's the fear of rejection. Their ego gets hurt. You need to keep prospecting to keep your sales funnel full. And if you can't handle rejection, then I'd say you're in the wrong game. I got introduced to rejection quite a long time ago. Actually, I didn't realise it was rejection. When I used to go out, when I was around 18 and I used to go out to the dances, I'd walk in and then I'd pick, say, 7 or 8 girls that I wanted to dance with. I'd go, you're number 1, you're number 2, you're number 3. If number 3 doesn't work, I'll go to number 4. Number 4 doesn't work, I'll go to number 5, and so on. So I'd go up to the first girl and I'd say, would you like to dance with me? And if she said no, I'd go to the second girl, ask her to dance. If she said no, then I'd go to the third, fourth, fifth, etc., till I found one to dance with. And that's a bit like prospecting. You have to go through all the no's to get the yes. One of the other things I found when I was observing them at the dances was that there'd be a really nice looking lady sitting at the bar at the table, and there'd be a whole lot of guys looking at her, and I can bet what their self-talk would be. It'd be something like this: gee, wow, look at that lovely lady over there. I want to dance with her, or I want to get to know her. Then they'll pluck up the courage and say, right, this is it. I'm going to go over to her. But then just as they get up, negative self-talk kicks in. Why would she want to dance with me? I'm nowhere near as good looking. I mean, she probably likes the guys with flash cars and big muscles and all that. What am I kidding myself for? I'll just sit down and I won't risk being told no. Then a guy come along, someone that's got a bit of confidence, full of confidence, come up to the girl and say, would you like to dance? And off they go. And the guys would be going, wow, isn't that guy lucky? No, he just believed in himself and had the confidence. And I find that this happens with the average salesperson in sales, that they'll be looking at an account. Let's say, for instance, Coca-Cola, and they're looking at the account saying, right, I'm going to go and approach the Coca-Cola account. I'm going to get in there and try to sell them. So anyway, they're sitting there plucking up the courage, and then they go to pick up the phone. And then once again, the negative self-talk kicks in. Why would Coke want to buy off you? I'm sure they get many promotional product companies ringing them a week. What have I got to offer that the other companies haven't? Coke's probably happy with their current supplier. So the negative self-talk talks them out. They said, how stupid of me to consider even approaching Coke. I'll go back and approach a few small companies that I know I'd have a chance of getting. Here on the screen's the prospecting funnel, and that's it. You've got to keep that funnel full of leads coming in so you get the sales out at the bottom. A lot more leads coming in than sales, because maybe 1 in 10 might buy. So you've just got to keep topping up get that other 9 in there to keep that sales funnel full. And that's what happens in a sales slump. People don't prospect. That's the main cause of a sales slump, is that people don't prospect. And when people are in a sales slump, that is what their funnel looks like. Empty. And if you've got nothing coming in the top, you've got nothing coming out the bottom, and that's when desperation sets in. Let's have a look at the sales slump. When the funnel is empty, desperation sets in. And as I said before, this is caused by the lack of prospecting activity. When the desperation sets in, it starts to cause negative thinking. When you are desperate, you no longer focus on what you will need for success. Instead, you focus on what will happen to you if you don't get what you need. The other thing is other people can sense when you're desperation in your voice, through the action, and I said tone of your voice, body language. Customers pick up on that, and they don't want to do business with you. Once again, you're more desperate and more negative. And lastly, when you are desperate, you make poor decisions. The decisions leave you stressed and dig you into a deeper hole. Here's another guy in a sales slump. Seen a few of those in the time. How do you get out of it? Pick up the phone and start calling. Get up there and start phoning people. Too many people see the phone as an enemy, but it's really your friend. So pick them up. If you're not happy on the phone, go out and start knocking on doors just to get back into the swing of things. Feel, felt, found comes back into it. When people are dialing up and the person says no, you can turn around and say, I understand exactly how you feel. Many of our happiest clients felt the same way when we first approached them. But this is what they found, that by using our services, they'd be better off. So, when can we meet? Would Monday or Tuesday suit? Morning or afternoon? Great, look forward to seeing you. Or all I'm asking is 10 minutes of your time. If after 10 minutes you feel that we cannot be of benefit to your company, you can kick me out. How does that sound? And if you go out on the road and start knocking on doors, what I used to do a lot of, I used to pop into a building, an office, and go, I apologise for popping in like this, but I was just visiting another client down the road. I just have a quick question. Does your company use promotional products? If they say yes, I would say, could you please give me the name of please give me their name, contact name. Then I would ask, would they be available to see me for a couple of minutes? If the receptionist said no, they are not available, I would ask the receptionist to pass on my card and let them know that I'll contact them later. It's very important to say I'll contact them later, because if the follow-up after you've left the card is, me, can I speak to Mr. Smith, receptionist who is the gatekeeper? What is it all about? Now, if you say promotional products, you could turn around and say, we're already happy with our existing supplier and we get 8 calls a day, so please, no, we're happy. What you say is, you don't say, when she says, what is it all about, you say, Mr. Smith is expecting my call. Can you please put me through? Because he is expecting your call in theory, because you've turned around and told the receptionist, tell him that you'll get in contact with him later. Here's what I call a prospecting creed, and people that I coach and teach, this is what we live by. What is behind the door, I cannot tell, but this I know, and I know it well. The more doors I open, the more I sell. Prospecting. Hello, Mr. Jones. This is, and when you get on the phone to them, hello, Mr. Jones. This is Gary Petersen from Top Value Promotional Products. I was just wondering, would you be interested in a product that could help increase your sales? What I would do is I'd go through all the products that came out, I'd do the research on a company and go, wow, this could apply to them. The client, naturally, if you say increase sales, the client would say, of course I'm interested. And you'd turn around and say, this is exactly what I want to talk to you about, and I need just 10 minutes of your time. I'll show you what I have got, and you can decide for yourself if you feel that it is the right thing for you. No pressure, no, none at all. All I need is 10 minutes of your time, and then you can judge for yourself if it's the right thing. Prospecting. We all know Michael Jordan. This is what he said. I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and I've missed. I've failed over and over in my life, and that is why I succeed. And that is the same as prospecting. You've got to get the no's before you get the yes. If you don't get on the phone and get the no's, you're not going to get that yes. So back in the old days, we used to be told go for the yes, but now I say go for the no, because the yes will come. And here's another one from Brian Tracy. It is when you finally learn that your fears are all in your mind that your real life begins. Fears, false evidence appearing real. That's the acronym for it. You'll be thinking, I won't ring this client up. He's going to yell at me and say no. How do you know? That's just false evidence. But if you tell yourself often enough, it appears real. Once again, with prospecting, picking up the phone or knocking on the door, Mark Twain said, do the thing you fear most and the death of fear is certain. Like public speaking, when I did it the first time, I was supposed to speak for 3/4 an hour. I'd finished in 20 minutes. Second time, I wasn't much better. Third time, I was better. Fourth time, the audience started to applaud. Fifth time, it was great. And after that, they can't get me off stage now. They need one of those hooks to pull me off. Or crooks, I think they're called. So yeah, look, hey, overcome your fears, pick up that phone, dial. You'll get no's, but then eventually you'll get a yes. You've got to keep going to get that yes. Now we're going to be looking at closing sales, because I have gone well and truly over my mark here, but you must always be closing. Some of the closes, this is one of my favourite closes. It's made me a lot of money over the years. I'd love to have you as a client. Please tell me, what do I have to do to get your business? This is after you've been calling on a prospect for a while. You've built a bit of a relationship with them, and you feel comfortable in asking that question. I remember the first time I was in labour hire. I was dealing with Containers Limited out in Preston, and the guy I was talking to was a big German, your typical perfect German. Big muscles, blonde hair, etc. And one day I said to him, or I went to ask, I thought, right, this is it. I'm going to ask the question now. Anyway, I was there talking to him, and then I started it. Tell me, what do I have to? And I got to the two, and it felt like a lump had formed in my throat, like I'd swallowed an apple. I just couldn't get the words out. I'd reckon I was going cross-eyed. He was looking at me, I was looking at him, I was turning red in the face. But I eventually got it out. What do I have to do to get your business? And then he looked at me and I said, crikey, if I tell him, I'll have to give him a business. So he tells me what I have to do. I said, right, if I do this and 10% more, I've got your business. I mean, he has to say yes. He's not going to turn around and go, no. I said, but you just told me yes. This is what I have to do to get your business. Of course he has to say yes. So I find with closing, you've got to be a bit on the aggressive side. Too many people are timid. A lot of them don't want to close because they're frightened they're going to get a no. Once again, they're frightened of rejection. One more story. I'm sure Kate's here going, would you stop it, Gary? Shut up, finish. I went buy a boat. A few years ago, I was buying a boat. I went down to the boat dealership. I'd worked out what boat I wanted. Went in there. Guy came up to me. Said, this is what I'm looking for. He said, great, this is the price. I said to him, I flinched like you normally do when you give him the first price. I said, no, too dear. So he went, put pencil to paper, came back and said, this is the price. I said to him, no, you've got to do better than that. He said, I've got to go to my boss. I said, fine, go to your boss. Came back and said, right, this is our offer. And I said, no, you've got to do better than that. Go back to your boss and tell him. Tell him we've got a guy here that wants to buy, got cash, ready to pay for it. Guy started to turn white. He went back, came back and said, right, this is our final offer. And I knew the guy couldn't do any more, and I was going to give him the business, but I just thought, how good's this guy? I said, no, you've got to do better. He should have turned around and said to me, Gary, I know you're interested in the boat. You love the boat. Tell me, what do I have to do to get your business? But he didn't. And you know what I would have said if he'd asked that question? because I knew I had him. I knew, look, he turned right, all the blood had drained out of him. He wasn't going back to his sales manager. All I would have said was throw in a life jacket for my dog, which was $20. But he didn't ask that question. I thought, no, I'm out of here. Went to another dealership. Didn't have to ask the question or anything. They said, well, you know, thrift, throw this, that in, and I bought the boat, and I've been happy ever since. Our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to succeed is always to try just one more time. One more close, just try one more close. Most people, you should have about 6 closes in your armory. Now, why not you? I'm just going to go back one because I've forgotten something. One of the closes that I really love too, and if the average salesperson gets asked, when can I have, or can you deliver it by, say, the 15th of Feb, they normally turn around and say, yeah, that's no worries, we can do that. What a true professional does and what I do, I say to them, I can guarantee you the date that you want, but we've got to write it up today. Okay. Because you're there to get the sale, you're there to close. Now, once again, you need to qualify the person to make sure that they are the decision maker. If it's someone that's got to take it to their boss or they've got to take it to a committee, this close is not to be used. You've got to have someone on the spot to say, let's write it up today. Okay. Now, there are heaps of closes out there. Unfortunately, I can't cover as many as I want to. But if you're really serious about sales, go out there and start seeking them out. Start seeking them out, learning, internalise them so you can use them just like that. You don't have to think about it. And like I said, you've always got to be closing. Now, the question is, whoops, I'm going backward again. You can tell that we've been doing this for a bit too long. Why not you? Why not you becoming one of the best in the industry, earning the money and getting the lifestyle for you and your family that you deserve? Why not now? Why not start right away to say, right, I'm committed to becoming the best I can? I mean, earlier I gave you the benefits of being a top salesperson. And it really saddens me when I hear salespeople say, I can't afford it, because they have the power in their hands to become one of the best in the industry. So why not start now? Start tomorrow or start today. And like I was saying, if not when, you're going to say, this is great. Gary had a lot of good things to say, but I'll get around to it. No, start doing it now. Don't put it off. Don't procrastinate. I've finished. But for more information on sales coaching, please contact me on 0438 318 713 or email me gary@successunlimited.com.au. Thank you. I'll hand you back to Kate.
Thank you, Gary, for a great presentation. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Just having a look at the questions, there don't seem to be any. So if anyone has any inquiries, Gary's details are on the screen. And we'll wrap it up here. On behalf of Gary and APA, thanks everyone for attending and have a great afternoon.